Hey everyone, this is Helena Hart, and I'm so excited to be here with my very good friend and fellow coach, Mat Shaffer, today. Welcome, Matt.
Hi, Helena. It's so fun to be back. It's been too long.
Yes, yes. If ever for everyone watching, can you let us know that you can hear us and see us okay? I'm very new to this software that we're using, but I love it so far. We're super excited to connect with all of you. And yeah, just let us know that you can hear us and everything. And we'll just get started unless we hear differently. So Matt is a huge favorite on my channel. I'm sure you're all familiar with him. But for those of you who aren't, he is an empowerment, connection, and relationship coach who helps women connect deeply to themselves so they can create the life and relationship they've always wanted. Hope I got
Amen.
it right that time. Okay.
Nailed it. She nailed it. It's a
Awesome.
mouthful.
Yes. And we're super excited. We have such an incredible topic today. I'm like thrilled for this. And that is how to be unforgettable to a high quality man, how to really make him see your value and demonstrate it and convey it in a way that really kind of connects deeply with his heart, which is Matt is just a total expert in that topic. And make sure to, stay till the end, because the last point of this we're going to share is just crucial, probably the most important one, in my opinion, and type your questions into the chat too. We'll answer all of those. And yeah, we're excited to get started. Let us know where you're watching from. And let's just jump right in. Matt, I would like to start with, what is, in your opinion, a high quality man? I get so many questions about like, I don't even know if I've ever experienced that before. So I think it'd be really powerful to start there.
Yeah, and that is really the where we get to start, and I'm super excited to dive into that. But Helena, so before we go down the rabbit hole, everything, do we want to tell them about the course, about what I'm sharing with them as part of your tribe?
Yeah,
Do we
absolutely. Yeah. So for everyone watching, there is a link in the description of this video. This is very exciting. We just decided to do this very recently. Matt is offering his Mastery of Connection course totally free to women in my community. If you want to join as a beta tester, there was thousands of women who joined this course last year. I think we ran it 2 times last year, and just it
Mhm.
was like probably the most valuable thing I offered to my community in 2019 is this incredible free course, very, very in-depth, where Matt so generously has office hours and he works with you personally. Matt, is there anything you want to say about the course before we jump in?
Yeah, I just want to give you guys just a little overview of what you'll get by being a part of Mastery Connection. It's totally free. You're coming in as a beta tester. So all you do is you fill out an application through the link that's in the description for this video, and we'll evaluate it, and then we'll give you an acceptance letter. And then it's basically 4 weeks of super high quality video lessons around how to master connection and really help transform your relationships from the inside out. So it's like 25 video lessons. I do office hours with the whole community twice a week, and it's really remarkable. And I'll be referring to it a couple times during our video and telling you more about it. But just know we've had over 4,000 women all over the world go through it last year alone, and hundreds of testimonials. It is remarkable, and I'm offering it as a beta. This is the last time I'm going to be doing it as a free beta. After
Oh,
this,
I didn't know that. Oh my gosh.
yeah. This is
Okay.
it. It's gonna be $9.97 or $19.97, like moving forward, depending upon different packages that I'm doing moving forward. So this is the last time you can
Oh
join
my
us
gosh.
as a beta for free.
I know
But
it's like a tremendous amount of work. Yeah, so this is like a
it is.
$1,000, $2,000 course. It's so in depth. It's so personalized to you. So get it while it's still being offered for free. The link is in the description to apply right
Yeah.
now as a
We
beta
start on
tester.
April 13th. April
Mhm.
13th will be the start date. But in the meantime, you'll be able to join the queue, the waitlist for the Facebook group, register in Teachable. There's a welcome video there. And then I'll be giving you updates before we get rolling in April. So I can't wait.
Awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to do that. I can't wait to share that with y'all. It's going to be an incredible journey, an incredible experience. But in the meantime, let's dig into what is Zip Nail says, I can't see the beta link. Okay, so maybe she just needs to click the thing.
Yeah, if you're watching live right now, you have to probably close the live chat, click the little upside down triangle next to the title, and then open the description. Once we're
Yeah.
done with the live, it'll be easier to figure out. But yeah,
Yeah,
for right
yeah, yeah,
now,
yeah. but
chat.
let's dive into this, right? So what does it mean to be a quality man? So I'm sure y'all have seen what a not quality man is, right? Probably right, most of you. So these are the manipulators, the players, the emotionally avoidant men, right? Aren't there a lot of those out there?
Oh my gosh, yes. Men
it's
who need like, yeah, or like, you know, they might be emotionally available, but they're not really available for a full-time relationship right now, right? They're just not quite at that place where they're ready or able to commit to the kind of relationship you want. I hear about that all the time.
And that's such a great point, Helena. And that's exactly what I want to hone in on here, is that these men are unwilling or unable to step up. They're unwilling or unable to step up and be the man that you are worthy of. So you recognize up until now that that's the type of man that you may have been attracting, and that you don't want that anymore. You want a quality man. So what is a quality man? A quality man is deeply connected to his masculine identity. He knows who he is, right? He knows what he wants. He's grounded in his purpose. He's fully in alignment with who he knows himself to be. And what does that allow him to do? It allows him to make you feel safe, right? It allows him to be that safe masculine container that creates polarity with you, right? And isn't that what we're all striving for in a relationship? Have you ever experienced that, Helena, in your
Oh yeah,
relationship?
absolutely. I mean, everyone who, you know, is familiar with my videos and maybe some of my ebooks or programs, you know, knows I'm all about feminine energy and leaning back and kind of getting in touch with some of these other parts of yourself in order to kind of awaken a man's masculine energy or inspire him to step into that masculine energy role where he knows what he wants and he's coming after it and he's moving things forward kind of all on his own without constant pressure or prompting from the woman, right?
Yeah, you're not having to pull him along. He's driving the trajectory of the relationship. He's not playing games in the way he's talking to you. He's very direct, right? He's not being manipulative or all over the place. And he also honors and respects your feelings. That to me is one of the biggest things that indicates a quality man, is he's interested in how you feel, and he's interested in what you have to say, and he's willing and actually wants to hold space for you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And take your feelings into account when he's doing the masculine energy things like planning, making decisions, moving things forward, hopefully, right? He's listening to your feelings, taking them into account. Like he really cares about your needs and desires when you're able to express them to him in a way that he can hear.
Exactly. And so, you know, obviously these are great men. These are high value men. And so as a high value man, they often have a lot of options, you know, when it comes to women, right? So what it is that you're looking for basically a king, right? You're looking for a king. And if you want to have a king in your life, then who do you get to be?
I'm guessing a queen. Is that right?
Exactly. You
Awesome.
get to be a queen. You get to set yourself apart from the other women that are out there, right? The other women that are just, you know, looking to give him looking to give him what he wants, you know, too easy, or they're playing games. They're not fully grounded in what they're at. So you want to be unforgettable to him and set yourself apart from all the other women that are out there. Am I right? So in order to attract a quality man, we get to be a quality woman. We get to, if you want to attract a king, you get to be a queen, because this is a foundational principle in my coaching and in my courses, is that every relationship is a mirror for you. So whatever you're creating, whatever kind of relationships you're creating in your life, it is feedback for you. It is feedback for how you're showing up. So we really get to look at, you know, if the relationships we aren't attracting aren't what we want, then we get to really take responsibility for that and ask ourselves, like, how are we showing up in those relationships? Does that make sense, Elena?
I love that. I remember when you were here about 4 or 5 months ago, we created a shorter video on how every relationship is kind of a mirror for, you know, something that's going on within yourself. From my perspective, you know, I talk to so many women. My content is mostly for women, right? So I say you attract a mirror image of your own masculine energy, right? So if your masculine energy is not in use for yourself, if you're not committing to your own dreams and desires and being kind of the queen or the star of your own life, you might attract men who don't want to commit, right? If you're waiting in some area of your life, waiting for the right guy to come along, waiting for something, you might attract men who keep you waiting to, make some decision about you or the relationship. I mean, there's so many examples. If you're hard on yourself, if you tend to beat yourself up, you will attract men who make you feel like you're not quite good enough. I mean, I could go on and on and on here.
Men that are reinforcing that victim conversation that you're having. And that goes really, really powerfully into the first key. We're going to go through at least 3 keys, if not more. Where am I? There I am.
Awesome.
At least 3 keys of what it means, how to be unforgettable to quality man. And really one of the first things, and it all comes back to you, one of the first things that you get to do is be so clear and in such deep ownership of your value and your beliefs. And those 2 things are deeply, deeply connected. Your beliefs around yourself, your beliefs around the relationship that you want. Like, these are things that are absolutely, my Pomodoro timer keeps going off. That's that little bell. I'm like, I'm turning that thing off. Tells me when to stand up and sit down. But
oh, that's so funny.
You're supposed to do both, apparently. But truly, so I want you to ask yourself, ladies, like, are you conscious of your beliefs about yourself? What about the beliefs that you hold around relationship? Do you feel that you're worthy of meaningful, deep love? Or are you getting what you deserve when you attract a man who's a manipulator or a man who's half in, half out? Like, you working through your beliefs is the most critical part of you showing up powerfully to a man. Because as a high quality man, I will tell you that, like, if a woman doesn't believe in herself, if she doesn't love herself, if she's not in ownership of that, we feel it. We pick it up. Like, we really do. Like, men, and you don't have to say it. We can tell in the way that, in your bearing, in your energy, like a woman's energy, from the moment that a man connects with a woman or sees a woman, he's evaluating the way that she's showing up. Usually unconscious.
Absolutely. Yeah. Men are sensitive to this. They can tell if you don't love yourself, just like we can kind of pick up on that. If a man's kind of deeply insecure, but he's trying to put on some facade or front, it's very easy to pick that up. We all do it with each other. We're all very intuitive, right? And yeah, men are really sensitive to that. They can tell, and I think a lot of women, they might say consciously, like, well, I deserve, great treatment. I'm a queen. I deserve a king. And we are thrilled for any woman who says that. And, but if you're not acting according to that belief, right? If you're staying attached to a man who's not fully meeting your needs or stepping up, there's a disconnect there. So I think your work with connecting, back to yourself and your own desires is really staying strong and sticking to those boundaries, right? Knowing your value and kind of acting accordingly. Then things kind of naturally fall into place, right?
1000%. Yes, exactly. So doing deep belief work is crucial, because if you just give lip service to a new belief, but you haven't actually owned it, like if you say, I'm worthy of a great relationship, but then you're settling for 60% of what you want, or you're clinging to an abusive relationship just because it's familiar to you, or you're not putting yourself out there and allowing yourself to connect with men, like, then if there's a disconnect between your actions and the way that you're talking to yourself and this belief that you want to have, the belief doesn't have any life. Right. So we get to breathe life into those beliefs. And that's where we start at in Mastery Connection. We start with belief work. So the community of however many women we're going to have, 1,000, 2,000, however many, like, we go through exercises to help you really, like, own your beliefs, connect, what your beliefs are and how they create results in your life, and then how to transform your beliefs in a meaningful way. And so that's absolutely essential. And so I want you to just start off, ladies, right now, and give me a 1 if you've done any belief work, or if you're willing to do it in the comments. But, like, we start with beliefs. And are you aware of your beliefs around relationship? And if you don't know what your beliefs are, look around at the world around you.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
The results that you have in your life right now are a direct byproduct of the beliefs that you hold onto about yourself, about relationship, about abundance. Everything flows from your belief.
Yeah. For everyone watching, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know in the chat, have you noticed, certain beliefs, certain patterns of men that tend to show up over and over and over, certain men you're attracted to? It's all related. It's fascinating how it all relates, right? Someone says, loving yourself, believing you're worthy might be most difficult part of all of this, especially if we weren't valued as children. I've been doing a lot of therapy work, EMDR, inner child work. Amazing. Yeah. I mean, that's something so many of us can relate to. All of this is beginning all of that to begin to feel I'm worthy. Yeah, it's still a struggle. Yeah, it can definitely be a struggle. I would encourage you to sign up for Matt's course while it's still totally 100% free, because he's going to go real deep into that. Is there anything else you want to say about beliefs, Matt, or do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, we can move on to the next one, but like I do want to say that like belief work happens throughout the course. We focus on it in the first week. It's a 4-week course, but like in office hours, I often do like very one-on-one, like deep belief work with students. So I love seeing there's no greater moment than like seeing the moment where someone like breaks through like a block they had, and they really step into a place of like loving themselves, and they start crying. It can be a really beautiful moment, you know? And I mean, we have 1 or 2 huge breakthroughs like in almost every office hours session. So just know that no matter how long, this is the point I want to end on with beliefs. No matter how long you have held a belief that you're not enough, that you're not worthy of a great relationship, that it's too late, that you're too old, that you're too damaged. No matter how long you've held onto that belief, you can release it. You can step into a new space. I have seen women in their 60s, in their 70s, women that have gone through endless, savagely abusive relationships. I have seen them heal. I have seen them transform, and I've seen them find beautiful, loving relationships. I've seen it with my own eyes.
Oh my gosh, me too.
For any of you, but the first step is having the courage to do the work and to look at the invisible box of beliefs that you've been living in and commit to changing them. And I would love to help you in that process.
Never too late. Never too late. And it can start once you shift the inside, the outside can actually shift very quickly. So I think a lot of times we kind of just go, well, this is all there is. This is all I've experienced, you know, throughout my adult years. So like, this is all that's available to me in terms of the men that are out there. And so we get stuck in this like framework, right? And so just you kind of breaking through that, doing a course like this, or just uncovering some of these deeper beliefs can just totally transform things. Even if you've been stuck in a certain pattern for a long time, you just have to shift these little tweaks sometimes.
You have to
make a big difference.
And a little bonus tip on beliefs: any belief that is a radical generalization, as in all men are this, you know, I'm always that. Anytime you have like this massive generalization about people or about yourself, I'll never find blah. It's usually wrong. It's usually a limiting, you know, wound-based belief that it isn't true. And it clearly isn't true, because how could you ever possibly know, right, that all men are only looking for sex? Like, you don't know all men. Therefore, the belief is fundamentally like, it can't be true, you know? So just a good way to start looking at your beliefs, maybe before we get into our coursework, right? It's a great way to just start looking at them. You're like, that can't be true. That can't be true. Write them out. Write them out. You'll start to see how kind of absurd, right, some of them are. So it's just a hugely important thing.
Oh gosh, I'm like trying not to laugh too hard over here, because I'm going through a lot of this myself, just when I, you know, working with my own, just, you know, even coaches get their own support and go through all of this. It's just amazing, certain beliefs that I've had carrying around forever, just going, oh my gosh, that's been here this whole time, and I had no idea until someone kind of shines a spotlight on it. So pretty amazing work.
100%. Yeah. So,
all right. Are you ready for the second one? That was really powerful.
Let's go. Absolutely. And ladies, ask questions. I'd love to get your questions. I absolutely enjoy deeply supporting you. So in the chat, ask questions about the course, ask questions about any of these things that we're talking about, because I want to be there for you. I want to support you. I want to serve you in any way that I can. Okay. And now another way to be unforgettable to quality men, this is such an important thing, is you get to, I have a quote that I like to say a lot. Like Tony Robbins says, the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions. That's a great Tony Robbins quote. So I kind of like stole it and made it my own. I said that the depth of your relationships is determined by the quality of your questions. And the reverse.
That's amazing. I was just watching back the last live stream we did, just to kind of get a refresher on some of your own, you know, ideas. And that stuck with me. I was like, wow, that is gold. I really like that. I think that's phenomenal. I'd love to hear more about that, because that's not something that I personally talk about in my videos. So tell me everything, everything you have to say on that.
Yeah, it's a hugely important thing. So the quality of your relationships will be determined by the depth of your questions. What's so interesting is that it's reversible. The depth of your relationship will be determined by the quality, and the quality by the depth. Because truly,
Wow.
like, what kind of, I want you to ask yourself, in the relationship you're currently in, or in past relationships that you've had in your life, what kind of questions are you asking of your partner? Like, because here's the thing, questions are the tool that we use to go, they can be the tool that we can use to build intimacy with our partner, to discover who they are at a deeper level, and to let them know how we feel about them, that we genuinely care about them at a deeper level. Because most women out there are asking in relationship, if they're checked out, if two people are in a checked out relationship, this isn't women, this isn't just women, this is everybody. If two people are in a relationship and they're just giving the daily report, so how was your day? How was your day? How was work? What happened today? Did you see what's on the news? And that's where you keep the conversation. You're not allowing yourself to build emotional intimacy with a man, right? And that's where most people stay at. And if you want to stand out, if you want to be unforgettable to a man that you're on a date with, or a man that you're in the early stages of building a relationship with, or you're fully in a relationship, ask questions that get him to go deeper. Ask questions that connect with his passions, right? Men love talking about their passions. Men have passions. We have things that we're into. And one of the great ways for you to get a man really activated and like leaning in towards you, especially in the early stages of getting to know him, is to ask him questions about what he's into. Like, if you see him watching tennis, oh, who's playing? Who's better? What's the deal? Play, I'm not saying play dumb, but be curious. It's very sexy for a man, for a woman to be curious. You don't have to be an expert. Don't be self-conscious about the fact that you don't know anything about the sport, or you don't know anything about the game that he's playing, the video game that he's playing, or whatever he's into. Maybe he's a nuclear physicist. Like, ask him what the most exciting thing he's done is. Like, that's just one example. Like, one of the greatest ways you can ask a deeper question of a man is just ask him about his passions in a deep way.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, Fatima says, that's so interesting. I never thought about what kind of questions I asked a man. Someone else said in their experience, the men they've attracted don't like questions. Are there certain questions men don't like, certain questions they do like, or certain categories? I mean, I know from my experience, if you start bringing up questions about the relationship when you're coming from a place of anxiety or insecurity, obviously that can feel like pressure to a man if you're not doing that in the right way. Are there certain topics or questions to stay away from, certain ways to ask questions?
Oh, honey, I talk about questions all day. I love talking about questions. So a couple type of questions you should ask. Questions about his passions, hobbies, and interests, demonstrating curiosity. That's a powerful question. Asking him if you can play with him, if you can engage with him in whatever he's into. Can I play? Is a really powerful question to ask a man. Can I join you? Can I be a part of this? That can be really attractive to a man, to have you actually demonstrate that you want to be there with him. Another way to ask him a powerful question is to ask him a question that evokes a story from him. So if you're watching TV, if you're watching like Naked and Afraid or whatever, and ask him, have you ever been in a situation like that? When's the last time you felt naked and afraid? Like, ask him a question where it gets him to tell a story, especially if it's like you're on a date, or just, like, men are storytellers. It's a foundational principle that I don't think gets brought up enough. And if you can activate a man and like ask him a question that hones in on something that he's passionate about, or that he's experienced, because men love feeling powerful. We love feeling like the experts, and we love demonstrating to you, our value through our actions. We love demonstrating to you our value through the stories that we have about our life. Like, because men are really interested in legacy. Like, our past and what we've created and what we're creating in our life is extremely important to us. So if you can get us to talk into our passions, into our stories, into our experiences, like, it makes us feel good about ourselves. And then when a man is feeling good about himself as he talks to you, that emotion transfers over. You're the one that made him feel that way. You're the one that makes him feel seen and honored and supported. And the last key to this that I want to embrace, and that I really want to hone in on you, is no matter what kind of question you're asking, whether it be a passion question or a storytelling question or whatever, is as he's sharing stuff with you, ask him follow-up questions. Ask him additional questions. Oh, so who's playing on this tennis match? Oh, it's Nadal versus, Federer. And they'll be like, oh, interesting. Okay, who's better? You know, like what's the deal? Like who do you think is going to win? Ask him a question that gets him to like think about it and give an opinion on it. That's going to help him demonstrate his expertise to you, which is going to make him feel powerful and make him feel like good about you. So, and you can do this on dates. This is a great way to be unforgettable to a quality man on dates, because most women they're not going to ask you 3-4 questions, you know, letting you dive deeper and deeper and demonstrate your expertise or your authority into a subject, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I'm just, every time I look over there, you guys, I'm reading these questions. I keep forgetting that I can pop them on the screen. Like, how cool is that? It's so simple, but I love it. I also like hearing a man speak about his passion. So it's a win-win. I just wanted to highlight this. Everyone drill this into your brain. She says, be a good listener, ask questions because you're curious, not to get a result. And I think that's probably the answer to a lot of these things people saying, like, there was actually a great question up here about, I lost it. It scrolled up too high, but it was something like, when she asks questions, sometimes a man leans back and just expects her to lead. Like it kind of turns into like an interviewer. So how does she then inspire a man to take the lead and ask her something, so it's not just this one-sided reporter or interviewer type mode? You know, you don't want to get stuck in there. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, that's a great one. That's also going to be very subjective, right? Like most men, I'm going to say from my own experience and in knowing what men, know the men around me, is that if I get asked a question by a woman and she's demonstrating curiosity about me, like most people are going to mirror that back to you. So most men are going to ask you a question in response to that, right? And that's how, but it's great, but that by you initiating a question, you can start a volley back and forth of questions between the two of you, right? And then you're having a deeper conversation. You're going beneath the surface. You're building intimacy and trust. And so if your man maybe isn't getting that hint, maybe because he's just never done that relationship, he's maybe never done that in his past relationships, then you can sort of tease him and be like, oh, are you curious if I've ever felt naked and afraid? You know, like ask him a little teasing question, sort of like evoking him to ask you the question. And you guys, because you got to remember, ladies, this is a foundational principle in both my course and Master Your Connection, which you can sign up for in the caption of this video and throughout all of my coaching, is that you are, as a woman, you are the emotional and communicative conductor of the relationship. So if love is a symphony, right, you are the conductor and you are inviting and evoking the masculine, your partner. He's the musician in the orchestra. You're the conductor and he's the musician, and you are inviting and evoking him through the way that you're showing up, how to communicate, how to express emotions. Because I know, Helena, you talk a lot about this. Like, we don't have a lot of emotional agency.
Yeah, that's right. Most men, right? Generally speaking. Yeah.
You know, don't have a lot of emotional agency. We're not necessarily well versed in talking about our feelings, in being vulnerable with women. So you have such a tremendous power to invite us to step into deep communication, to step into intimacy, to step into vulnerability, right? And that's something that, you know, you might need to be a little patient with us on that front, and kind of go above and beyond to invite us and ask us to share, ask us to ask you questions. Aren't you curious about, you know, if I've ever had a similar experience like that? I'd love to share it with you, you know, and so I know another person had asked earlier what kind of questions to avoid asking. And I want to bring up another principle that I talk about a lot, is that when you're asking a man questions, it's really important that you are aware of this foundational thing that all men have called mama trauma. Okay, so all men in some way or another have some degree of trauma around their mothers, meaning that, you know, there was nothing scarier for us when we were little boys, most of us, than being in trouble with our mom. So like there was nothing that was like a really, really deep, like if you were in trouble with mom, it was a big deal, right? And so we have a wound there. And so when you're asking questions with a man, you want to avoid activating his mama trauma. So if you're asking him questions from an angry space, if you're being overly confrontive in the way that you're asking him questions, the man is going to, when a man's mama trauma gets activated, this is like a trigger that a lot of men have. Like he's going to feel like that 8-year-old boy who got caught, you know, like stealing cookies when he wasn't supposed to. And his mom looks at him and asks, what? There's 4 cookies missing. Did you eat these cookies? Like, and then it's like, oh my God. And then he's got to lie. So then he goes into meltdown mode, or he goes into breakdown mode. So like, be conscious when you're asking questions that you're doing it from a space of partnership. It's really about the energy that you're bringing to the questions, much more so than the words.
So true.
You
with anything. Yeah. Oh yeah. Men pick up on your energy and your vibe much more than the words. So it's not about putting the perfect 9 words in the perfect order. Just forget all that. It's just, where are you coming from? You guys are all like coaches now yourself. This is so funny. I'm like cracking up over here. Like this is all such great info. Sometimes you just need to be engaged and give the man time and space within the conversation. Love that. How do we communicate anger? Great question, Christina. Any thoughts there?
Well, I think that it's absolutely something that we get to do, right? Because sometimes a man's going to do things that make you angry. You've become frustrated by it. And so it's important to be able to give a man feedback, right? To be able to let a man know that you're feeling angry. But the important thing you can do here is to not blame him for the fact that you're angry, right? Because at the end of the day, like, it's in the blaming somebody else for our feelings that they feel vilified. And I'm not saying he didn't play a role in it, but how can you communicate to a man? So the way that I tell my clients to do this is, you know, if a man has done something that's pissed you off, right, or made you angry in some way, then you don't want to, like, when you're in the active triggered space, like, you don't want to like blast him in that moment, because then he's not going to be open to whatever it is that you have to say. You want to give yourself some time to take a break, go for a walk, come back in from a grounded space, because the energy is so important. You just want to let him know, you know, when you did that, when you were late to our date the other night, or when you were late to our date tonight, the story I made up about it, or the story in my head, was that, you know, I'm not a priority to you, or that, you know, I wasn't important enough for you to be here on time, which then led to me, you know, feeling unworthy, or feeling like, you know, I'm not important to you. And so then by doing that, you're letting him know that there's a connection between his behavior and the way that you're feeling, but you're not saying, you're pissing me off, you're making me angry. Nobody's making you angry. You're choosing to adopt thoughts that are then leading to feelings of anger. You see what I'm saying? So like, and I know that you have, that feelings come up and that they can be very hard to control. And it's not your job to not feel things, but it is your job to be in ownership and take responsibility for your feelings and not blame other people for them. Because once we start blaming other people for how we're feeling, we're giving our power away to them.
Right.
Does that make sense?
So true. So true. Yeah. See, Helena, I'm learning. Yes, you guys are all just like total experts now. So I love just seeing the evolution of my community. You guys are just amazing. Thanks for answering my question. The answer feels very accurate. Fatima says, I love how you explain that women are the emotional conductors, men are the musicians. I love it. There was a question up here I wanted to get to before we get too far, because I keep getting questions just like this from Diana. She says, my boyfriend is definitely a quality guy. As you previously described, our situation is difficult because he's a widower. How does that impact things? Do you come across this? This is a question I keep getting all the time. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, yeah, a lot of my clients, I mean, dating in, especially, you know, 40s and 50s and 60s and beyond, like, the men do tend to have more wounds, right? Because they've either had a divorce, or they've had, you know, or it's a widow situation. You know, that's a particularly tough one, right? Because yeah, so in that situation, I honestly find big pain points like that, trauma like that, can actually be a huge opportunity, because like, you as a woman, you can help a man, you can hold space for a man and help him heal trauma and loss greater than any therapist in the world. Like, you as his love, you as the woman in his life, right? Like, nobody can make a man feel safe and drop his walls and step into his heart and release his pain more so than a woman who loves him and is committed to holding space for him to release whatever it is that he's got around this. So as a widow, right? I can imagine that he's got massive fear of loss around women. So he might be continually, afraid like that you're going to disappear, and it's not rational because obviously you love him very much. But every time you're late to a thing or something comes up or you guys have a little argument, he melts down and expects you to disappear because one day he woke up and his wife was gone. So that's a very natural trauma point for him. And it's going to be an opportunity for you, though, to really just like love this man and reinforce to him. And Diana, I'd love to hear more of how that's coming up in your relationship. I can see the comments too in the chat. So
oh, okay. Yeah, she said right here, I always worry I'm pushing for him to open up. How do I go about having him open up and commit?
Okay. So it's been a year, right? And you're pushing him to open up, meaning he might have some resistance to opening up. So again, when you say you're pushing, that is, you never really want to be pushing a man, because if you're pushing him, if you're being forceful with him, especially, you can't force a man to be vulnerable. You get to invite a man to be vulnerable. And just like we talked about questions earlier, questions are how we do that. So inviting him to be vulnerable with you about what he's experienced, through questions. So what did you love about, what were your favorite parts about your relationship with your wife? Like, what do you miss most about her? Like, go there, like be willing to like open that can of nuts. Because if he's resisting committing to you, it's probably because he's still holding on to her in some way, or he's afraid that if he commits to you, that you're going to disappear too. Right. So he's in a grief process. So if you're saying it's been a year that you've been dating, Diana, or it's a year since his wife died, because a year is not that long. If it's like your wife died a year ago, he still might be in the grieving process. So there also might be an aspect of you being patient with him as he processes this and works through this, because it might be a little while, depending upon the length of the marriage and how deeply connected they were and everything else. So so it's just something to look at. Christina asks, but then we can't give comfort through advice, right? Or hold them, because then we're therapists. And again, that's a subjective, situational thing, right? And so what you do get to do is ask him questions that help him understand. So it feels like, say, for example, with Diana's situation, it feels like you might be, a little resistant to moving forward with me. I'd love to move forward with you and take our relationship into a deeper level. Like, are there any fears coming up to you around that? I'd love to hear them. You want to ask him, and this is how you make a powerful invitation, right? You want to make an invitation that's connected to a feeling statement. Okay. And so there's basically, it's what I call it is the cycle of invitation and space. So what you do is you make a powerful invitation. I'd love to hear more about, your wife, your ex-wife, or your deceased wife, and what she meant to you. Or and then you're using I'd love to hear more about it. So you're tying it to a feeling statement, which men, fundamentally, one of our primary drives is to make you happy. So if we're in a relationship with you and you tie a feeling statement to a question, that becomes an invitation to him.
Yeah.
Right. Totally. And then you give him space. It's invitation and space. And then you give him space. You hold space for him in a safe way to answer that question. And part of holding space in a safe way is you're not allowed to backlash on him. You're not allowed to take personally whatever it is that he says. Because sometimes some of the things he might say might be, I'm afraid I'll never love somebody as much as I loved my ex-wife. So right there, you're going to be like, well, what the hell? Why? You can't believe you said that, right? No, you can't take it personally, because if he doesn't feel safe, he's not going to open up.
He's going to keep it all to himself. Totally. I'm just realizing right now, but I did a live stream a couple days ago with Matt Coast, another relationship coach, good friend of mine, who totally is saying all the same stuff about asking questions as a way to create and maintain a deep connection, even if you're long
Mm-hmm.
distance, even if there's, there's some kind of separation. So this whole idea of questions, I feel like we should do a whole other live stream just on that. Maybe next week we can do that, because I'm realizing how much I'm hearing this now from different, especially different male coaches.
Well, yeah, because that fundamentally, like, you as the conductor, right? This is the biggest way that you can invite a man to be vulnerable, that you can invite a man to share with you. All of this stuff, like, that is the way that you do it. You do it through the power of your questions. So, check in with yourself and ask the questions. I look at the questions that you're asking. Oh, and Paul is dating a widow as well. Wow.
Yeah, it's a really common thing. I just keep hearing about that all the time. So yeah. Love your comments, you guys. This is great. Christina says, this mama trauma idea is like a light bulb going off for me regarding so many things that have happened. So fun to be a part of a live stream. And can we take some more questions? Do you want to move on to the third one and come back?
You can take some questions. Who was that said that last thing? I'd love to hear what her takeaways or what her light bulb moments were around
Christina for the thing. Yeah. You're the only coach I've ever heard talk about it in that way. So I love that.
Because I made it up, yo. I created that.
I love that. Okay, so he says he loves me as a good friend, but he's jealous of me being with anyone else. We've been casual for a year. He's very hurt from his past, afraid this will happen to us, so he doesn't try. Yeah, get rid of him. Sorry to just be blunt, but you got to just, he's done.
If he loves you as a good friend and is physically intimate with you, and then being jealous and possessive of you being with other people, but simultaneously doesn't want to commit to you and blames it on his past.
Yeah, get rid of it. Yeah, someone else was asking earlier, I forgot who it was, a guy who just keeps leaving and coming back, leaving and coming back. Just stop wasting your time with that guy, right? Hi, Jen. I'm so glad you caught a live stream. So fun. Yeah, everyone's talking about grief. And gosh, that might be another good topic for a video too, right? Okay, let's see. Thank you. Yes, it's like I want to give love and comfort, but then it's mothering or therapizing. Yeah, it's a little bit of a fine line, but you want to just oh, thank you so much. You guys are so sweet. Oh yeah, Diana says that it's been 1 year since she died, so it was pretty
that's
recent.
still pretty fresh.
Yeah, wow. Oh my gosh, what a tough.
And so that kind of comes with the territory, my dear, when it comes to, like, if you're dating a widow and it's been a year, like you're an active part of his grief cycle.
Right. Yeah, they've been dating 6 months, she said. Interesting.
Yeah. So there you go. So he's still processing that. And Diana, you got a great opportunity to be a huge part of his healing process. Yeah. Like, it's a huge opportunity for you, but don't take personally, at least not yet, and really never, but especially not right now, that he's not ready to like jump right into a full-fledged relationship, because I mean, he's got some major wounds that he's going to be working through. And how can you support him in that? That's the question that you get to ask yourself, because that's the thing. It's not just about the questions we ask our partner. It's about the questions we ask ourselves, right? How are we showing up? Like, are we being, what are we mirroring in the relationships that we have right now? Like, are we being unforgettable? Are we in ownership, like, of our value, of our worth? Like, am I living the beliefs that I say, define me? Or am I not? Am I living my fears? Like, these are the questions we get to be asking ourselves that really shape the quality of our life.
Awesome. Yes. Okay. I love, we'll get to all your questions too. Let's move into the third one. And speaking of questions and suggestions, oh, you're very welcome, Diana. I hope that was helpful for you. Hopefully that gave you some, and for everyone who's in that situation with dating a widow. We are going to be doing another live stream at the same time next Friday, 6:00 p.m. Eastern, 3:00 Pacific. So we need advice. We need help from you guys. What do you want us to talk about? Do you want a whole nother live stream on these questions or some of these topics we're discussing? Let us know in the chat, or if you're watching the replay of this, type it down below in the comments. Anything you guys would like us to talk about, we'd love to do more live streams on this. So yeah, let's move into that third key. Is this the final most important key?
Yeah, this is, I mean, there's so many, but this is a really big one. If you want to be unforgettable to a quality man, like, you get to have sound judgment and not be afraid to use it. Okay, you get to have sound judgment in the way that you manage your relationships. And one of the best ways to do that is by proactively setting positive boundaries with him from the beginning. Men are looking for this. Men are looking for women, because here's the thing. A lot of women have a tendency to just be relative kind of doormatty to men. They have a tendency to just give a man what he wants, agree with whatever he says, and not really like set boundaries and hold their frame for him. And it's really important for you to actively, demonstrate judgment from an awareness of yourself and set proactive, positive boundaries. Like if he's not calling you, if he's not texting you enough, if he's being sort of inconsistent with that, be like, hearing from you always brightens my day, and I love to have bright days. So, like, what do you say to us, like texting like a couple times today? Or, are you open to having a little phone date on days when we don't hang out? Like let him know like how something would make you feel and invite him to move forward into that with you. Like and when you're setting boundaries with a man, as often as possible, set boundaries around what you would like him to do rather than, and guide him towards that, invite him towards that, rather than telling him, don't do that, stop doing that, I don't like that, because that's the standard way that most women set boundaries. And when you operate from that sort of like negative pushing away space, you're going to activate what? Mama trauma.
Yeah, I love it. I talk about that in terms of making requests from your feminine energy, right? So make it about you and what you want and how it's going to feel when you get it. Don't make him wrong for something he's doing or not doing. There's such a way to frame it that will set you up for success. You talk so much about frames and holding your frame, not collapsing your frame just to fit in to what you think a man might be attracted to. Does that fit in with this third key here? I'd love to hear.
That's a huge part of it. It's a huge part of it is knowing who you are, what you want, and knowing how to present that to a man, right? Like, because your frame is the outline of who you are. It is your values. It is your preferences. It is your sense of humor. It's the fact that maybe you cuss like a sailor. If that's who you are, own that. Like, don't hide that. If you're holding back yourself, if you're not showing a man your raunchy sense of humor, or, if he says he likes baseball and you think baseball is dumb, be like, why do you think baseball, like, what is it about baseball that you like? Is it the fact that they scratch their crotches all the time, or the fact that they stand around 98% of the time? Like, how can this possibly be cool? I only go to baseball games to drink. Truly, that's only like, and a man, he's going to be activated by that. A man loves to feel that a woman knows who she is and she's not afraid to unapologetically own that to him. So like, know your frame, know what you're into and what you're not into, and don't be afraid to like tease him and playfully disagree with him. Make him defend his position in like a playful, inviting way. That's like that, when we were 3, right? We would show a girl that we liked her, or when we were little kids, right? Or not 3, but like 6 or 7 or 8, by like pulling her pigtails, like, and so that really brings up another huge concept that I use in a lot of my coaching, that all men are little boys, fundamentally. Like, we're all little boys. We all love to play. We all love to talk about, the things that we're into. We all have our, various like little passions and hobbies and stuff. And if you can activate a man's play drive, if you can get a man to play with you, if you can get a man to be excited about what he's into with you, he's going to see you in a different light. He's going to see your value. He's going to be excited to hang out with you because he has fun with you. Men just want to have, we really do. No matter how much we've gone through, men love to have fun. We all have a little boy within us that really wants to have fun. And if you can activate that part of us, it's going to set you apart from every other woman that is out there or that he's ever been with. So ask yourself, taking this back to questions, ask yourself, do I have fun with my partner when we're together? Do we have fun on a regular basis? When's the last time we had fun?
So good. Everyone's loving this one. Yeah. Jen says they really are. Fatima says, number 3, setting proactive boundaries. So true. A man I'm dating now loves that I do that. It really is true. Look, here's another example too. I really relate with the third pointer. I've recently started expressing myself clearly. I'm highly aware of my boundaries and expectations. I get an amazing response from the guys I talk to. Yeah. So don't be afraid to do this, you guys. I'm still learning not to hold myself back. It's a long journey. Yeah, just you could be on, I'm on the journey to being my most authentic, playful self in this relationship. Don't beat yourself up for not being perfect with it 100% of the time, right? And we will recap these three keys. Everyone's asking for a recap. We'll recap them at the end. Anything else you want to say about this third one? This is really important.
Yeah, it's super important. And just a couple other ways to exercise judgment like this is you want to be able to judge and evaluate when to intervene with a man and give him advice or tell him that he's doing something wrong. Maybe if you notice him doing something wrong, be able to exercise judgment and know when to intervene or when to just let him make a mistake. Because here's the thing. Men sometimes are going to make mistakes. Sometimes men are going to try to get somewhere and not know how to get there and take some wrong turns, right? But here's the thing. If you micromanage a man's life to prevent him from making mistakes, if you are too controlling with a man, if he wants to go to dinner somewhere and you know that there's like a better place in town, you know, ask yourself, is it worth it to you to take control of the situation, to go to a little bit better restaurant, or is it worth it to just allow him to be the masculine person, the masculine figure in the relationship and plan the date? You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes it's okay to let a man, you know, make the decisions, even if it's not the best possible decision. This is going out to all the controlling women out there, like all the women who want to lock stuff down because you know the best way to do it, right?
We all, gosh, we can all relate to that. Oh my, especially people like me who are kind of in like helping professions, right? Or like, you know, I work with a lot of teachers or doctors and therapists, psychologists, or even lawyers, you know, they kind of, and women, sometimes we know the fastest, quickest way to do something, but that doesn't mean that we want to jump into that teaching mode and teach a man the best way to do something. I just popped this one on the screen because I want this to get burned into everyone's brain too. Setting boundaries weeds out the men who aren't for you. How true is that? I just love that. You guys are all so smart.
1,000%. The men who aren't for you, the men that aren't invested in you, the men that aren't willing to give time and attention to your thoughts and your feelings. It's going to weed out men who are not quality men. That's why the title of the video is How to Be Unforgettable to Quality Men, because that's the only kind of men that we're interested to. So if you set a boundary and the guy that you're dating or the guy that's thinking about dating says, I'm not doing that, fantastic. It is not a loss to you to have that man bow out of your life, because it is much more worthy. And that comes from that foundational belief, right? Going back to the beginning of what we were talking about, the belief that you are worthy of deep, meaningful love with a man who honors and sees and appreciates who you are. So like you anchor yourself in that, right? And we do a lot of boundary work in Mastery of Connection. Just to remind for everybody who's coming on new, everybody who's joining us, Mastery of Connection, we are launching a free beta of my month-long, really high-level course. It's going to transform your love and relationships from the inside out. Over 4,000 women have already gone through it, like all over the world. We've got hundreds of testimonials. It's been an incredible experience for so many people in Helena's community. And I'm offering it free to Helena's community. You can come in as a beta tester through the link in the description. It is a game changer. And check it out. Like we're taking everybody now.
Yeah, totally, 100% free, no strings attached. This is like a $1,000, $2,000 course, and it is literally totally 100% free. You can take the whole thing, go through the whole thing. It's so generous of you, because I know how much personal time you spend working with everyone and coaching and everything. So,
I do, yeah. I do office hours twice a week. You get 2 or more hours with me twice a week in office hours. We do workshops on a regular basis, 25 video lessons, homework every week. And you're part of a community of thousands of like-minded women who are all doing this work together. And this is going to be the last time I'm going to offer this as a free beta. And I'm doing, honestly, one of the reasons I decided to do the beta is because I see what's going on out there in the world. Like I see, I was done doing betas after the last one. Like I was like, that was great. I had right? I was like, I'm never doing this again because it's so much work, right? But I had such a beautiful experience last time, and I've seen what's going on in the world with all of this instability and all of this uncertainty and everything. And I'm like, you know what? I want to create a space for us to like come together and do deep work and transform ourselves and transform our capacity to be in relationships. So if you want to become deeper connected to yourself and to other people, if you want to transform the way that you have relationship with men and the way that you see yourself, like, join us. It's going to be so much fun. We're going to have an incredible experience.
Yeah, amazing. Oh my gosh. Yeah. When you just the other day just mentioned that you're going to run it again, I'm like, I have to offer this to my community because it's just like so much value. It's such a great opportunity for you guys. So we're coming up to the top of the hour. Let's recap these 3 points. And if we have time, we can take some more questions because I see some really good ones. You want to recap those 3 keys?
Yeah. So first off, to recap, like, this is how to be unforgettable to quality men. So quality men are men who are in deep ownership of their masculine power, right? And their identity. They're living their purpose in the world. They know who they are. They know what they're about, and they're moving towards it in a deep and powerful way. This is a man who doesn't play games. He's direct in the way that he communicates with you and what he wants from you. He's in ownership of that. He's in ownership of all parts of his life, right? And so this man is a king, right? And if you want to be with a king, there's a fundamental principle here that all relationships are mirrors, right? So if you want to be with the king, if you want to be with a high value man, a quality man, if you want to be unforgettable to him, then you get to be a high quality woman. You get to be a partner to him. You get to stand in your power. And so the first key is a queen knows her value and knows her beliefs and owns them fundamentally. So this is the first and most important step, is for you to look at your beliefs about yourself. Another person can only feel about you the way that you feel about yourself.
So true.
Truly. And nobody can sustainably love you if you do not love yourself at a deeper level.
Yeah.
Right. So like, you get to look at your beliefs around what it means to be in relationship. And if you're having trouble with them, because a lot of times our beliefs can be tricky, right? They're like an invisible, I like to say it's like the invisible box. I talk about that in the course. All of module 1 is based in belief work. Right. So I talk about, like, beliefs can be an invisible box. You might not know your beliefs consciously. And if you have trouble knowing your beliefs, all you need to look at is your results.
Yeah.
Because you can have, you're right, you can have beliefs. You can have a little board up in your room that says, I believe that I'm worthy of lasting love. But then if the guy next to you is a drunk who doesn't appreciate you, guess what? That board ain't your belief. That, alcoholic next to you in bed is your belief. That's what's happening. So look at the results that you're having in your life if you're struggling around identifying what your beliefs are, because your beliefs create your results. And that's the foundation of module 1 of Mastery of Connection. So that's what we're going to be digging into first.
Love it. I always say you can only create results on the outside to the degree to which you've done the work on the inside. In other words, if you don't love yourself 100%, you can't expect men to show up and love you 100. You might only get 50% from them, right? There's so much I have to say about that, but yes, so important. That's the first one. Let's recap those last 2.
Exactly. Then the second one sort of like has gone through all this. The second one sort of evolved through our video was, I think it was the power of questions. Mm-hmm. So truly, like, the mantra that I use around this is that the quality of your relationship will be determined by the depth of your questions. Yes. So what kind of questions are you asking your partner? What kind of questions are you asking? Are you asking him surface level, daily report questions? Or are you going deeper with him? Are you asking him, when you're watching Naked and Afraid, when's the last time you were naked and afraid? Right? If he's watching sports, are you asking him, what is it that you love about NASCAR? Like, I don't really understand. I'd love to hear from you. Then again, because every question gets to be an invitation, right? Because when you ask a man questions about his passions, you're letting him know that you care about him. You're letting him know that you're interested in learning about things that he's into, and you're giving him an opportunity to demonstrate his expertise. You're giving him an opportunity to demonstrate and talk about what he's passionate about. Or you can ask him questions that get him to tell stories. Mm-hmm. That's the other huge way. All men are storytellers. This is a foundational principle. So you get to ask him questions that get him talking about stories. Like, tell me the last time that you were super, like, incredibly scared in your life. Like, what's the biggest adventure you've ever been on? What's your, what do you think what's your greatest accomplishment? What are you most proud of that you've created up until now? That's a cool question. I'd love a woman to ask me that question. I don't even know what I would answer if someone were to ask me that question right now. Like, as I think about it, it would be a really powerful chance for me to reflect, right? And then talk about my legacy. And men are always at some level interested in their legacy from what they've been creating in the world.
Yes, yes, yes. And then the third was all about setting boundaries, right? Let's recap that third.
Yeah, the third one was all around a quality woman, a woman who is unforgettable to a high value man, exercises sound judgment. So she exercises judgment and she knows when to use it, right? So truly, like, ask yourself, like, are you setting positive, constructive, proactive boundaries with the man in your life? Like, are you guiding him from the beginning? I'd love to go out this Saturday. It would be so wonderful. It would feel so good to, to get a text from you in the day, to get a text from you during the day. Like, that makes me really happy. Like, are you continually letting a man know, what feels good to you? And maybe also what doesn't feel so good to you. It's okay for you to indicate both, but you want to be continually inviting a man forward towards how you want him to be, what you want him to do, and how you want him to act. And it's not a controlling, manipulative thing. It truly isn't. This is foundationally living in that cycle of invitation in space, where you're giving a man a powerful invitation through a feeling-based question, and then you're honoring and giving him the space to do it. Which all goes back to that foundational principle, right? That you as a woman, you are the conductor of the emotional and communicative aspects of your relationship. You're the conductor. You are the one. He's the musician in the orchestra looking up for you for guidance. He wants to do things for you. He wants to make you happy foundationally. And if you say, okay, cool, in order to make me happy, you can do this and you can do that. Like, you're going to continually be inviting him forward and then honoring and trusting him to do it by giving him the space to do it.
Yeah. And then acknowledging, appreciating him when he does it. Right. And
then
like, yeah, I think it's so good. And of course, like somebody, one of these amazing smart women here in my community, I forgot who it was, said that weeds out the men who can't do the job or who don't want to, who don't care about your feelings, who don't really, not a big concern to them, making you happy, making you feel good. So that was amazing. Thank you so much. We've been doing this for an hour. This just flew by. Do you have time for questions? Do you want to save those till next Friday?
Totally up to you. Let's party. Okay. Let's get some questions. Yeah.
Let me just take a couple that I keep getting over and over. This one I thought was amazing. How do you trust your judgment if you feel like your judgment has failed you in the past? Sometimes guys look great on paper, but it doesn't feel right. Do you think that's a phenomenal question? I hear that all the time. Like, how do I even trust myself? Right? How do I trust myself if maybe I thought this guy was the one and then I ended up getting hurt? I mean, who hasn't been there, right?
Well, everybody's been there, right? None more than myself. Like, I've been right there.
Me too.
And I think what's important, I think the most important thing to touch on in that question is that, like, we get to look at our past as a blessing. We get to look at our past as a never-ending series of learning opportunities, right? So just because your judgment has failed you in the past, or not failed you, what if it didn't fail you at all? Can you release judgment about your past behavior? Can you celebrate those past relationships? Can you celebrate, finding Mr. Wrong, right? Because I guarantee you, if you look at those relationships, if you look at your history, like, over and over, like, you can see that, like, with every relationship you went through, sometimes your greatest teachers are the people who hurt you the most.
Oh, so true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
If you're open to the lessons, right? But just because you have had relationships that didn't work out in the past, that is not a reason to reflect upon yourself that, you don't have sound judgment, because you learned from every single one of those relationships. You'll never be in that same situation again. That person taught you, right? The sort of person that you don't want to be with, the sort of things to look out for. Right? So don't take your past and project it into the future. If you do that, it will continue to show up in your present. That's how we get caught in a loop of reproducing our past, is when we operate from fear and we allow ourselves to be defined by our past experiences. So be open to the possibility of a new relationship, right?
Yeah.
Trust your
Yeah.
discernment, trust your judgment, and just stay connected to your vision of the kind of relationship you want. And check in
Yeah.
on a regular basis with yourself. Is this man and how he's showing up today in alignment with who I am right now and the type of a relationship that I want and how I want to feel? Keep asking yourself that question. How's he showing up today? You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
So
it's an
great.
ongoing process.
Or yeah, and how has your intuition been right and served you all along? We've all had those experiences, probably multiple times, where you're kind of an alarm bell went off, like, oh, I don't really like how he's friends with all of his exes. They seem to be hanging around, or I don't really like how he handles himself when he drinks or when he's at, and we kind of ignore those red flags because we have strong feelings for a man. Then what happens 6 months, year down the road? Those very things that we were ignoring in our intuition are usually the reason the relationship ends. I've certainly found that to be true. I don't know about you, Matt. Right?
100%. Well, hindsight's always 2020, right?
Yeah.
But we can look back and be like, oh yeah, that time that I texted her on, like, it's funny, yeah, I've had those experiences so many times in my life where, someone might be just extremely attractive, right? And so I'm like, okay, like, I'm really into this person. And then they would just start doing things like not text me back for like 3-4 days and then come out of the woodwork and say something. And I mean, I should have picked up on that as a manipulative act, which it was at the time, but I was so blinded by, my attraction to her that I just let it slide,
Yeah. So for the person asking that, so you can say, don't judge yourself for ignoring your intuition. Say, my intuition, my judgment was right all along. So now all I need to do is get
I'm
in.
in ownership of the fact that I ignored it at the time and that
Yeah.
I allowed, I went with what I want no matter what, right? And so, and really the phrase to use with that, it's a Maya Angelou quote, I believe, is when people show you who they are, believe them. When
Totally.
people show you who they are.
Just, her question was how to trust yourself. It's like, well, I always say, how do you build trust with another person? It's when they follow through on what they say they're going to do. So do that for yourself, right? Keep those commitments you make to yourself. If you say you're going to start a new diet and exercise routine, don't put yourself last on the list and go, I'll get to that when I do everything else, right? If you say you're not going to be available for a man who's not stepping up or meeting your needs, really stick to that. And then you start to trust yourself and build, right? Build that trust.
And the phrase I would use around that is be in integrity with yourself.
Yeah.
The first and most important relationship that you have is with yourself. So honor your needs, honor your word to yourself first and foremost. Recognize that if you don't trust yourself, how can you expect anyone else to trust you? Like, you can't, how could you ever be in a relationship with another person in a meaningful way if you don't trust yourself? Because every relationship is a mirror.
Totally.
So you get to trust and honor and love yourself. And we dig into that in Mastery Connection. So if you need any help with that, come on in. We're going to be doing deep work from day one around self-love and transforming the story that you have around yourself.
Guys, yeah. So, and then I get this question all the time from women. So I'm just curious, my own curiosity from this perspective, from your perspective, Matt, what if he talks about his ex-wife a lot and tells me how wonderful she was? This looks like it probably fit into the third key, right? Setting some kind of frame or boundary around that. What do you have to say on that question?
I think, well, so there's there's a line. There's a line here to walk, right? Because on one hand, he's got an ex-wife. I'm sure she was wonderful. It was a messy divorce, whatever it was, right? You don't want to discount or discard him talking about his feelings or his memories, because she's not the enemy, and his past. Like, one of the things I think that women do a lot in this situation is they would take that very personally and become reactive to it. And then the man would then have to suppress those feelings and those thoughts, and would actually become a barrier to intimacy in the relationship. So I would invite you to not get super triggered by it and lash out at him when he does that, because that's not going to serve you or support you. But you can give him feedback, right? In a grounded way. Give him feedback and let him know, hey, I'm happy. I'm glad that you had a healthy relationship with your ex-wife, and that, you still have positive feelings around her. But, when you talk about her excessively to me, the story I make up about it is that you would rather be with her than with me, or that I'm not as good as she is. I find myself comparing myself to her, which makes me feel not enough, or it makes me feel this or that, right? Whatever those feelings are. So you want to let him know. And again, the energy that you have around this is so important, because this is a very emotionally loaded topic, right? And situation. You want to be loving, and you want to be open and vulnerable with him, and just let him know, hey, I'm not saying you can't have, fond memories of your ex-wife, but what I do want to share with you is that when you talk about those memories and those experiences and those feelings to me all the time, like, the story I make up about it is that you're communicating to me that, the story I make up about it is that I'll never be able to, match her. I'll never be able to make it to her level, which then makes me feel, unwanted or unimportant or not enough to me. So
Yeah.
just, vulnerably giving him feedback from a loving space that doesn't get him to shut down is the key to that.
I think that's amazing. Yeah, lots of questions, right, about like social distancing and isolation with everything that's going on right now. I'm working on putting together some material on that. I don't know if you have anything to say on that as I keep scrolling, but
online dating is, I think, going to become even more important right now, right? And I actually have, that's actually part of my course cycle of Mastery of Connection and Mastery of Magnetism, which are my 2 courses. I have an entire module on online dating, because I find online dating to be absolutely essential. I think in this day and age, even pre-pandemic, online dating has become one of the foundational ways that people meet other people in the world right now. And I think when it comes to social distancing and dating, it's a lot of the same rules that you would have in a long distance relationship, right? It's a lot of the same rules, like that we get to practice, like conscious connection, and being willing to, video chat a lot, right? Like having video chat dates, right? I think when it comes to social distancing too, right? You can go out with somebody, but just not go out around other people. Like go on hikes, go out into nature. Like part of social distancing dating is not congregating in large groups of people. So doing things out in the world that are interactive and engaging, which are great activities for dating as well. Like men love to have an activity. We love to do that. So
yeah,
getting out there in the world, is in a safe way, away from other people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'll have some more things hopefully coming up on that. And if you guys want more live streams on anything specific, also Matt and I are going to be doing one next week at this time. I'm just smiling at all your guys' amazing comments over here. Gina says, excellent content. I wish they taught about relationships in school. I do too, right? It's amazing how important this information is. We just don't learn it, right?
We don't. But I mean, because connection is so important, right? And so that's like connecting, learning how we connect with ourselves and with other people is really the foundation of a lot of our lives, right? Because I think Brene Brown did a study of 10,000 people, men and women from all over the world, around the meaning of life and what they felt the meaning of their life was. And she came to one central conclusion. Like her thesis from this huge study was that the meaning of life for so many people, everybody's purpose here, is connection. We're all here craving connection with each other, and everything that we do is all an effort to create connection with other people. And so truly, that's why I titled this course Mastery of Connection, because in this course, you get to look at your beliefs and do lots of powerful belief work to change the way you see yourself and the type of relationship that you want. Then we go into your attachment style. We talk about your personality matrix quadrants. I explain all that, and there's a test that we do around that. You get homework every week on this, and your love languages. You really get to the bottom of how you connect with yourself and see yourself, and how you connect with other people, and then develop a vision and create your values, and then start moving towards it. So it's like a whole experience around creating a new life for yourself.
Something I always say is the connection you have with a man is the hands down #1 most valuable asset in the relationship. It's much more valuable than you know, the agreements and labels you put on it. That almost means nothing if you don't have a really strong connection. So that's probably a good point to end on. If we didn't get to your question, we were like kind of way over on time today. We just had so much fun interacting with you guys, but we'll be back next Friday. I don't know the date, but 1 week from today, same exact time, right? 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern.
Yes. Yeah, that'll be the 27th.
Okay, I'll try and schedule it ahead of time. And I have live streams all throughout the week. I have one on Sunday and Tuesday. And so everyone was requesting more live streams kind of during this time when people are home and have the time to watch these things. So thank you guys so much. Be sure to check out, apply for Matt's free course that he's offering for the very last time, totally free, Mastery of Connection. The link's in the description. I'll also add it to the comments. And it starts April 13th, I believe, right?
April 13th. Join the party. We're going to have an amazing time.
Awesome. And for the 150 or so people watching live, feel free to share this video with anyone who you think might benefit from this opportunity. Don't forget to like this video, leave us a comment. Let us know what you guys want to talk about next Friday, because we are definitely open to suggestions. And thank you so much. Have a great, I don't know what day it is, but have a great weekend. I think it's Friday.
We're all melting together at this point.
I know. Have a great weekend, everybody. And yeah, we will talk to you next week. Matt, thank you so much. This was amazing.
It was so much fun, Helena. See you soon.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.